Yeah, I figured I'd show this real quick because it's a pain in the ass. Um, when you buy a piece of fuel line, right, ready to go, it usually has a nice slit in it so that it'll go down into this hole nice and easy. Down into them holes nice and easy. But when you have a whole roll of it, it doesn't come like that. So you have to make the slit. It also would help to use some kind of lubricant. Like, where is it? Vaseline. Right? Good old Vaseline. This stuff's been used for ages for all kinds of stuff. Unfortunately, I may have cut this piece a little bit too short because it's got to go through the handlebar and the hole. And then it gets that little piece on the end of it. One of these. Hopefully it'll just reach. My problem is, though, having a really hard time getting it into that hole. And, this might be a little bit fatter than the original stuff. So that might be one of the reasons why. But I figured I'd, show it, because you can't just get this to go down into that hole. It won't happen. You put a little Vaseline on the end of it, you try to slit it at an edge so it's kind of works its way in, and then you can grab it with needle nose pliers and work it through. So that's what I gotta do right now. I'm seriously ready to widen that hole too for this line. The problem is you don't want to get it too wide or gas will drip, seep out, and that's the last thing you want. See, when you get it from the store or when you get it pre-cut, that's how it is. It's even cut even better. But that will go through. Problem is, once it's through, I have to cut it even again to put that piece on, and it might be too short. We'll see. Alright, I got it. Now it's just a matter of it being long enough to go through the handle and to the carburetor. I think it's just going to make it. And luckily this is the return. The one with the fuel filter has to go down in much further. It's just a tiny little gas tank. Oh, while we're at it, I just want to mention this funny thing. This interesting thing a very smart woman told me that I knew, that I worked with when I was at the stadium. She said to me one time, I don't know why the conversation came up, but she said that everybody is crazy in their own way, or weird in their own way. She was a really smart woman, and that kind of stuck with me. I thought that was interesting, and it's true. Everybody is kind of weird in their own way, right? Everybody has their own quirks and things. There's no definition for 100% perfectly normal, or the same, because that would be a boring world anyway. I just thought that was interesting when that person said that, because it's true. Everybody's got their own quirks, It's just some, or I guess more severe than others, and some are the type that are beneficial in some ways. But I just thought that was interesting that she said that. That stuck with me. Alright, let me get this on. Yeah, it kind of sucks. I mean, it just barely makes it. just barely. And that's not even with the handle on yet. I should have cut it another inch. I was just kind of eyeballing it, and I messed up. And this stuff, this line right here, a roll of this stuff is not cheap. This is not cheap shit. But for the second one, I am going to try one of these thin pieces first to see. So this way, if I don't have to drill that hole out, I won't. You know what I mean? That makes sense. And then if I have to, I will. But if I already have a piece here that'll work, yeah, screw it. I'll just use one of these pieces. But this one was already made to go through nice and easy. Because I might have to cut another piece of this stupid thing another inch longer for that error I made. And I'll just have to hold on to this piece and hope I can need it in the future. Because this is supposed to go through the handle. And I think where the handle goes on, it has to. Unless I can keep it outside of the handle, then it should be okay. I don't know, we'll see. I know this piece has to go through the handle. Yeah, it'll go right in. Let's see. Let's see what's up. This is the fuel filter I'm using. I have a bunch of spares. The original one that was in there, this one, it's clogged. It's fully clogged up, which means it would not pick up fuel. So that had to be changed out. There was a tiny bit of old ass gas in there, so I don't know yet if the carburetor is going to be compromised or if it's just going to start right up for me tomorrow. We'll find that out tomorrow. Judging by that and what the fuel filter was like, I'm gonna guess that's probably clogged up. But you never know. If it wasn't sitting up in there, it was just down in there, it might not. That primer has a little bit of fuel in it. If that's the case, that carburetor is definitely going to be clogged up. Although I did pump that a few times earlier to see if it was still good. Which it is. Because normally these get cracked too. That one's still good, so I don't know if I just pumped it in there just now, or if it's been sitting in there. It was probably sitting in there. If it was sitting in there, I can guarantee you that carburetor is going to need to be cleaned. But you see how those screws are rusty? The one was an Allen head, and it was almost to the point where you couldn't get it because it was sitting down over there for almost 3 years. 2 months to 3 years. Alright, I got it. It was a pain in the ass because, line being that thin. The original one I was trying to use, that one was even fatter, and it was not going on. It was causing a split in the line, and I think there might even be a tiny little split in the line there, but I don't think it's going to affect it. At least I hope not. Now I can shove that down in there all the way, and we can be good. But yeah, oh, yeah. That's the second time I've done that, man. I knocked my head into that fucking thing. You got to see that live. I'm not editing it out. I just knocked my head right into that thing. Maybe that's what happened. I knocked my head around too many times. I electrocuted myself really bad once when I was about 12 or 13, and I think, I don't know. I don't know. It was not good. That's all I can tell you. You know, your mind is basically a big electrical factory. You know that, right? So if you zap yourself really bad, you don't know what you're doing. You really don't. You know, you could throw that whole thing out of whack. You wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. But yeah, I zapped myself really bad when I was around 13. I mean, to the point I hit the ground and you know, it shocked my heart. I mean, that's how bad it was. It was like, and then I started noticing some things. So who knows, you know, you gotta be careful. Let's just put it that way. My uncle, he worked for PSE&G. He's told me stories about them people that work on the power lines. They give you special gloves, but even with them, he told me about this lady who, you know, the power line was supposed to be shut off. It wasn't. And she grabbed it. It threw her like 50 feet. It threw her 50 feet. She was burnt to a crisp. That's no joke. So, alright, the fuel lines are in. Hopefully this one's okay. The only thing I still have to do now is put the trigger back on. This one I have enough slack to where I can get it through. That one, I don't know. I might have to redo this one. So, we'll see. Oh, the other thing I was gonna say. If you ghost me, right? If you're doing that, if you're one of them people that are ghosting me, for instance, right? You know, a lot of people, I don't care if they do it. I really don't give a shit. But certain people, like that one dude that I was just telling you about, who I knew growing up, you know, he kept ghosting me. He thought it was funny. And I finally just, you know, kept going and going and going until 2 o'clock in the morning. Until he had to block me. I don't think he found it funny at that point. You know, so, hey, be courteous and reply to me. Reply to people in general, and I'll do that shit and there won't be any problems, you know? But, people are assholes. It's just the way it is. Alright, let me get this thing all back together now. And you know, like I said, as far as he goes, like I said, I don't care that he knew that girl. It doesn't bother me, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, it's ironic, right? It's ironic, it's irony. Look, a mouse. They're in here. But there's another word for it. I don't care, you know what I mean? I don't even care how far along they knew each other, how close. I don't care. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is if it was going on when I was getting locked up. You know? That's what's fucked up. You know what I mean? If he was out having a good old time and I was sitting in jail. That's fucked up. You know what I mean? Because there was no reason for me to have to even be put in that situation in the first place. There was no reason for it. I'm telling you. People don't get it. If things had just been allowed to run their course, I would have been fine. Everything would have been all good. It was blown way too far out of fucking proportion. It really was. I mean, yeah, okay, I admit it. I was in a little bit too deep, but still, I'm telling you, if things had just run their course naturally, the way she was even talking about it, I would have been fine. I would have gotten over it. I would have been better off. We both would have been better off, and everything would have been all good. But she decided didn't want it to go that way. And then it turned into a big fucking mess. And then, you know, I see these kids I grew up with, they're all friends with her. It's all fucked up. It's like, why did I have to be the one that, you know, had to go through the bullshit? Okay, yeah. To an extent, I was an asshole. I made mistakes. But I knew. I learned. You know? But I guess I just made one too many times, and that was that. Like I said, the third wheel. Third wheel brought that scumbag around. Had me go up to Jersey City. Third wheel should have been saying, no, this isn't a good idea. This isn't a good idea. She was no good. She was no good for anybody. She wasn't my friend. She wasn't her friend. She didn't give a shit. You know what I mean? Fuck her. Fuck her, that third wheel. Truthfully, for real. She did nothing but make things worse. Treat me like I was some kind of half fucking wit when really I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I was burnt out, but I wasn't no fucking half wit. I'll tell you that. So fuck her. She'll get hers. Karma will turn around and get her if it hasn't already. Same thing with a bunch of people that did bad things. Karma's gonna turn around and get them. Got me. And I know people that did far worse. It's gonna come for them. Not by my hand. I'm saying karma's hand. Alright, let me get this trigger back on. But yeah, if that's the case, and they were out having a good old time and doing whatever while I was getting locked up, that's fucked up. Alright. It's all back together. Let me tell you something, changing those lines is a job in itself on this thing. And then if it also needs a carburetor cleaner, you know, that was no joke. These are a pain in the ass, man. If I had to do this for somebody, I'll tell you what, I'd probably charge $100. Took me almost 3 hours. For real. And it's not easy. And this is a little bit, this is just a return line, so I'm not too worried about it at the moment. It should be good enough. I even put one of the official clips back on. There were 2 originally, but that's, you know, that's pretty freaking tight. And I don't wanna you know, we're gonna leave it like that for now. It really should have had at least like another half an inch or an inch, but that's just the way it went. So, but here, it's good enough for now. This way, at least tomorrow, at some point, I can test it. I want to look at this air filter real quick. This will give me a idea how bad that's going to be, if it needs to be cleaned. But yeah, I got that repair tomorrow. I think it's just one of them, a solenoid, a 4-post solenoid. So I'm going to take 2 of them with me, because I'm not even sure. One of them might be bad. Hopefully there's not 2 bad ones. And hopefully that's the only thing wrong with the machine. And if that's all it is, I'll swap it out. And then I'm going to charge him, this guy, $100 plus $10 for the solenoid. $110. Since I have to drive about 5 to 7 minutes away over to Albridge Turnpike by Chittick. That's not too far. You know, if it was further than that, then I'd be charging more. But for something like this, these pain in the ass machines, forget it. It would have been $100 easy just to replace these lines. Not even going into that yet.